Hi everyone, Kay from Legacy of Lore here. It's been a while since I made a video, especially on lore, and without making this intro too long, I do feel like I need to explain briefly. A while ago, I resolved that I would only make content that I feel strongly about and or enjoy. I was also burnt out and in survival mode for the majority of 2020. Just trying to keep my head above water. And anyone who has been burnt out can tell you it's difficult to find things to enjoy and be passionate about when you're in that mental state. So I had very few topics I felt strongly enough about to make videos on. I'm sorry for being gone so long, but I am hoping 2021 will be better. Moving on to today's video, which I hope you will enjoy. Today, we're talking about the Mystery Skulls animated series by Ben Magnum and his team on the YouTube channel Mystery Ben 27. The series consists of animated music videos set to songs by Mystery Skulls, telling a story over the course of a series of videos. Currently, there are 4 videos, with a 5th one expected. The videos that have been released so far, in order, are Ghost, Freaking Out, Hellbent, and the future. Being in the line of work that I am, I always seek to find the educational value within media. And these videos are well worth the watch for anyone who is interested in art, animation, music, visual storytelling, film directing, or film analysis. Or if you just enjoy some good entertainment. These videos are, however, best enjoyed blindly. By which I mean that it would be best to watch them first before watching this video or other analyses or reaction videos. I highly recommend you watch the series first. I will be linking a playlist with the videos down below and in the card above. For today's video, I'm going to do my best to explain the narrative of Ghost and analyze the visual storytelling in it. I was initially planning on doing one video on all 4 music videos, but it so happens that there is a lot to unpack here. Part of the brilliance of these videos is that there is no written language apart from the Mystery Skulls logo or dialogue with the exception of 2 lines in the future. The storytelling in these videos is supported by the visual cues given in the videos themselves, and some additional information shared by Ben through his blog on Tumblr. This additional information is not key for us to understand and enjoy the story, but does reveal more about the characters and their backgrounds. So let's get started on Ghost, set to the track of the same name by Mystery Skulls. The video by Mystery Ben 27 was released on the 26th of October 2014. We see the Mystery Skulls van enter from the left of the screen. It's an orange van reminiscent of the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo and Greg Universe's van from Steven Universe. The resemblance to Greg's van seems to be a visual and artistic choice alone. The art style of the characters and some of the objects in these videos are heavily impacted by the style of Steven Universe, amongst other influences. The videos are filled with references to and inspiration drawn from other media. However, the similarity to the Mystery Machine is the first of many references to Scooby-Doo. Although having seen Scooby-Doo is not necessary to enjoy or understand this video, the music video is very much a homage to Scooby-Doo, and for fans who know the cartoon, it can add a layer of nostalgia and immediate understanding of what's going on. They're a group of young people driving around in a van investigating paranormal activity. The van has Mystery Skulls written on the side, with a skull forming part of the logo. Beneath the English name are the Japanese katakana characters translating to mystery skulls, indicating a strong Japanese influence in the videos from early on. We will later learn that this is the logo of the paranormal investigation group that includes the main characters of these videos. The van is driving on a dirt road at night, with dense, leafless trees in the background, serving to set a somewhat creepy vibe. As we see the passengers inside the van, we are introduced to three of our characters. From left to right, we have Vivi, Mystery, and Arthur, all themed with their own specific color. Vivi is themed blue or cyan, with magenta glasses. Take note of this as it will come into play later. Mystery is themed red and has yellow spectacles, and Arthur is themed orange. He notably has a mechanical left arm. It's also interesting to note that he has no buttons or pins on his vest in this video, but does have several in later videos. The van's mainly orange coloring could possibly indicate that the van belongs to Arthur or his family. And although this may seem like speculation at first, we see later in this video, and even more so in later videos, how important the color coding is for this specific series of videos. More on that in a moment. I found it interesting that the little ghost hanging from the rear view mirror is blue, orange, and red. A neat little detail as it combines the colors of the characters in the van, albeit darker and duller, as to not draw attention away from the characters. It seems to be a reference to the Boo Ghost from Super Mario Bros. With sunglasses and a star on its forehead. The name tag around Mystery's neck is also the logo of Mystery Ben 27's channel, just differently colored. As we move on, the characters inside the van smile at each other, coinciding with the lyrics, "It's alright 'cause I'm with friends," suggesting a comfortable relationship between the characters and displaying the good integration between the visuals and the music that continues throughout the videos. The van's dashboard suddenly sparks with magenta energy, and Vivi and Mystery look at Arthur with a hint of accusation, indicating that he may be the mechanic of the group. And indeed, he is. Arthur is a mechanic at his uncle's shop called Kingsman Mechanics, according to Ben's blog posts. His uncle, named Lance, will appear in Hellbent for the first time. It's likely that either he or Arthur built Arthur's mechanical arm. The van jerkily comes to a halt in front of a spooky mansion, themed magenta. As mentioned a bit earlier, the color coding in this series of videos is important and useful. It allows the audience to easily make inferences about familial ties in later videos and to distinguish between characters and associations at a quick glance. It can also indicate non-familial relationships between characters, which we will discuss a bit later. We pan in on the door, which opens to a magenta screen, fading to show us our three characters inside the mansion, indicating to us that they have entered the mansion without having to show them get out of the van and walk over. Vivi seems awed, Mystery seems skeptical or concerned, and Arthur seems nervous. Note that the characters have not changed position. Vivi is still on the left, Mystery is still in the middle, and Arthur is still on the right, allowing the viewer to follow easily from scene to scene. The door to the mansion shuts behind them, leaving them in darkness briefly. Only their eyes are visible as they watch a floating magenta flame pass them to light up a series of pink candles, and ultimately the chandelier in the middle of the room, illuminating the room and our characters again. Their reaction provides us with a little bit of insight into their characters. Vivi remains excited, Mystery seems nervous, and Arthur has passed from nervous and resigned to mildly terrified. We pan around, seeing suits of armor and portraits come to life, their eyes glowing magenta. The portraits are references to videos that Ben worked on before Ghost. More on that later. We then see several pink ghosts with pulsing yellow hearts singing. These little ghosts are called the deadbeats. As they sing behind our characters, Vivi's excitement remains, in contrast to the growing caution of the other two. But as the ghosts briefly transform into scarier, angrier looking versions of themselves, all three our characters seem to become more unsettled, and even Vivi's excitement is replaced by fear. Our three characters start running down the hall, narrowly avoiding the sword of one of the suits of armor when it takes a swing at them. In a moment reminiscent of the cartoons that helped inspire this work of art, Mystery's head is hidden, as if chopped off by the suit of armor, to the dismay of Vivi and Arthur before appearing back unharmed. Our trio stop in a hallway with living portraits. 6 portraits are visible, 4 of which can be identified. As mentioned earlier, these portraits are references to other videos that Ben had worked on. Front left, we have the lawyer. He is a cross between Phoenix Wright and Miles Edgeworth from the Ace Attorney games, though his appearance has been modified to make him look spookier. This painting refers to a video called The Turntable Turnabout. In the back left, we have the Lucha Libre. This is a reference to the ringside game in Rhythm Heaven Fever. The Rhythm Heaven Fever series had a significant impact on the animation of Ghost, according to Ben. For example, the head bobbing. The Lucha Libre refers to Ben's My Little Pony Rhythm Heaven videos. In the front right, we have the woman. She is meant to resemble Rarity from My Little Pony in human form, and is also altered to be made spookier, again referring to Ben's My Little Pony videos. Finally, in the back right, we have the priest. Originally meant to be a wizard to reference Ben's earlier 8-bit Dungeons & Dragons videos, Ben changed the design after the release of the original Mystery Skulls Ghost video, which prominently featured a priest. On the right of the scene, after the characters in the portraits stretch out of their frames to scare the trio, we see the woman pulling a rope that fell from the ceiling, releasing a trapdoor in the floor through which our 3 characters fall. The space through which they fall seems very reminiscent of Alice in Wonderland. As they fall, they pass 3 mirrors, and the reflections shown in these mirrors provide some interesting hints. In Vivi's reflection, her eyes are completely blacked out. In Arthur's, his mechanical arm is missing. And Mystery's reflection causes his mirror to shatter altogether. We will later learn the significance of these reflections. It is also interesting to note that Arthur is the only one of the 3 that does not look back at the mirror, and seems more concerned with what's below him. One interpretation I have seen is that Arthur does not want to look back at his past, or that Arthur, being the most nervous character, is more focused on the immediate danger down below. However, it could simply be an aesthetic choice and have no symbolic meaning attached to it. After this, Arthur seems to drop faster than the other 2 and falls into what can only be described as a tomb. Arthur is surrounded by pink fog and is faced with a large black and pink coffin, which slowly opens to show a skeletal figure in a suit inside. The figure is themed magenta, including his tie, with a large golden heart locket where his heart would be. The figure, who we will later learn is in fact a ghost, looks at his heart for a moment with his hand raised. The framing here suggests that he's holding his heart in his hand. At first he looks sad, and then slowly seems to become angry before glaring at Arthur. One of the interpretations of this is that he's saddened by the state of his body, undeniable proof that he is dead, before becoming angered by Arthur's presence, indicating a link between his death and Arthur. Rewatching the video can easily confirm this implied connection, and we'll see why later. He floats forward, out of the coffin towards Arthur, there are no visible indications that he recognizes the ghost. In fact, in later videos, it is suggested strongly that he doesn't. The ghost points at Arthur in sync with the lyrics, "It's you I hate the most." Arthur seems to go from scared to terrified, pointing at himself uncertainly. We zoom in on the ghost as the music swells, rapidly switching between him and Arthur until the ghost's irises, which are magenta, appear. Flames spring into existence in the pink braziers around him, and we briefly zoom in on his heart locket again, implying it may be fueling his power, before a ghostly pompadour appears on his head. Bear with me, I know it sounds silly, but it is relevant. Even now, it doesn't seem like Arthur recognizes the ghost. Here, we enter an extended chase scene, including a gag that is, as far as I can tell, literally just called Scooby-Doo doors, and a memorable flying through Scooby-sized sandwiches moment as the ghost chases after Arthur. The background rushing past towards the right as Arthur moves left, and the fast panning between characters gives us a tangible sense of movement. Small details like the clouds of dust left behind by characters when they take off, coinciding with their colors, provide an extra layer of visual depth and detail to the video. Vivi, Arthur, and Mystery pass through a door, and Mystery stops in front of a painting, onto which we zoom in to see a flashback. The scene is similar to the opening scene. We see the Mystery Skulls van driving down a dirt road at night. We see 4 characters inside this time. We recognize Mystery, Vivi, and Arthur. The 4th character is themed purple, and we cannot see his eyes, which are obscured in shadow. Mystery, Vivi, and the new character, named Lewis, are in front and seem quite happy. Notably, Lewis sports a pompadour. Arthur is in the back, isolated, and seems dejected and unhappy, although it is unclear why yet. We can later deduce, and this is confirmed in the following videos, that Arthur is jealous. We can also see that Arthur does not yet have his mechanical arm. The gang pull up to the entrance of a glowing green cave with a skull and crossbones sign in front. The cave is shaped roughly in the form of a skull, with glowing green eyes and nostrils. We are subtly reminded that this is still inside the flashback by the constantly present scan lines. We zoom into the cave and then see our characters emerging from darkness, indicating that they entered the cave. Mystery seems suspicious. Arthur seems scared as he stays behind Lewis with his hands on Lewis's shoulders, which hints that Arthur and Lewis have a real friendship, rather than being driven together through proxy to other people. While Vivi seems curious and in awe, Lewis, who is in front, seems fascinated or slightly shocked. The gang splits into 2 groups as they come to a fork in the path. Lewis and Arthur head down to the left, and Vivi and Mystery seemingly head down the path on the right. We see Lewis peering over a ledge as Arthur hangs back with a frightened expression. As we zoom out, we see Lewis is on a ledge high above some jagged rocks. We see a green color seeping across Arthur's skin, starting from his left hand and spreading upwards, and the silhouette of Mystery in the background. The green color moves up Arthur's face and causes his left eye to change color. The white turns black and the iris green, indicating that Arthur's left side has been possessed. Arthur pushes Lewis off the ledge. We can't be sure because of the blacking out of the characters, but he seems to commit this act with his infected left arm, although it is later made almost certain that this is indeed what happened and that Arthur did not commit this act intentionally. Blacking out characters or figures in a frame is a visual technique often used to draw our attention to the action or what's happening. We see Lewis plummet to his death below. As he hits the jagged rocks, we see bits of ripped clothing fly into the air, most likely as a stand-in for blood spatter to keep the animation less gory. And his heart emerging upwards, beating faster as it gains its now signature golden color, and the background changes from green to magenta, from the color of the cave to Lewis's signature color. Lewis's heart ignites in magenta, the background changing to black, and sparks from the heart move upward, revealing Lewis's skeletal ghost form, then flying into a horrified-looking Vivi's eyes, turning them a solid magenta. And we see Arthur, his infected side grinning with malicious glee, and the other side crying, dismayed and anguished. Arthur's right side is holding back the infected left arm, almost as if trying to hold it back after having been unable to control it. Blink and you'll miss it. We see a red flash, which some may have noticed is in the shape of an animal's jaws. A flash of white, a long rectangular object being broken in half, and the silhouette of a kitsune, a shape-shifting multi-tailed fox spirit in Japanese folklore, wearing Mystery's glasses, holding an arm in its mouth. This represents Mystery transforming into a kitsune and biting Arthur's arm off to keep the infection from spreading. This is a great example of visual storytelling. The fact that the silhouette of the kitsune looms behind Mystery the dog and wears the same spectacles immediately informs us that the kitsune is, in fact, Mystery. The eyes of Mystery the dog have a glint in them, in this case red to tie back to the color coding, informing us that he knows more than it initially seemed. Let's just rewind one moment and check some extraordinary details here. As the crew enter the cave and come to the fork in the road, there are bats hanging from the ceiling. One of the bats, and only one, on the right-hand side has green eyes. My inference from this is that the bat was likely the previous host to the unknown demon or spirit that possesses Arthur's arm. The identity of the spirit is unknown, but many fans named it Envy, especially before the release of The Future. It would make sense in this context, as the color green is often associated with jealousy. Think green-eyed monster. And it seems to amplify Arthur's jealousy into murderous intent. However, this becomes more murky after the release of The Future. And as of yet, the identity has not been confirmed by the team behind the videos. Another little detail is that as we see Lewis peer over the edge, green mist surrounds Arthur. And when we zoom out on the spot, we see Mystery behind Arthur, also surrounded by green mist, and Vivi down below, presumably where her path opened up into the cavern. The floor of the cavern is also covered in green mist, and Vivi is mostly obscured by it. Vivi's position means that she saw Lewis die, which is why she looks horrified in this shot. The glowing of her eyes strongly suggests that Lewis's powers somehow erased or manipulated her memory of these events, although it is highly unlikely that Lewis did so intentionally. Another possibility is that Vivi has simply repressed the memories of this traumatic event, although I would rate that as unlikely. In Freaking Out, it is also clear that Arthur does not have memories of these events, but does harbor lingering emotions. This will be discussed more in the video on Freaking Out. As we zoom out of the painting and exit the flashback, seeing the silhouette of the kitsune behind Mystery's dog form, the kitsune has only 6 tails. This will come to play again in The Future, the 4th video of the Mystery Skulls animated series. In the present day of the video, Arthur is cornered by the ghost of Lewis. As the ghost rushes forward, his irises and pupils are small, signaling rage and loss of control. Vivi steps in between them, shielding Arthur. She braces for impact, but seems confused when the ghost doesn't hit her. The ghost, meanwhile, stops, his gaze softening. He cannot bring himself to harm Vivi. His heart floats towards her, and as she is about to take it, Arthur grabs her and runs. Vivi is the only one who looks back at the ghost, reaching back towards him. As he reaches out to her in return, his heart falls to the ground, cracking and changing from golden to blue. Abandoned and alone for the second time and enraged, the ghost's eyes flash magenta and he is engulfed by flames, starting from his head and radiating outwards. The flames follow Vivi, Arthur, and Mystery as they run, and they barely escape, leaping out of the mansion and into the van. As the van drives off, we see the ghost looking down at them out of a window. His eyes are again obscured in shadow, as he raises his now broken heart and opens the locket. Inside, we see a photo of Lewis as he was in life, embracing Vivi. The ghost, now shown as a spectral form of Lewis before he died, sheds a tear and slowly fades away. As the van drives away, we see the mansion fading and disappearing in the background. This, along with the fact that the mansion was color-coded to match Lewis, implies that not only was the mansion created through Lewis's power, but also that his power was sustaining the mansion. I'd like to point out here, there are several examples of visual framing that draws your eyes to the right point of focus in these videos. Take this last scene, for example. Our eyes fall on the van first, since it's in the foreground, but the lines of the van direct your eyes back towards the mansion as it fades. Next, I think this is a good opportunity to address an ongoing discussion on whether Lewis lured Arthur, Vivi, and Mystery to the mansion on purpose. I would say no. Given that Arthur, Vivi, and Mystery are traveling down what looks to be the same road as in the flashback at the beginning of the video, it can be inferred that the mansion is close to where Lewis died. We see in later videos that at least Arthur seems to be searching for Lewis. It therefore makes sense for them to return to the area, even if they may not be sure why. Lewis seems to be asleep when he is revealed, which makes me think that the mansion and everything inside were unconscious manifestations of his power. His power affected the van, causing it to break down in front of the mansion, but I do not believe it was intentional. Another thing I would like to point out now is the link between Vivi and Lewis. They seem to have had a romantic relationship, and although Vivi no longer remembers his death, her glasses are magenta. Almost literal rose-tinted glasses, as her horrible memories are erased. As cringy as it sounds, it could be said that Vivi only had eyes for Lewis. Curiously, Mystery has yellow glasses. I'm unsure whether there is a symbolic meaning to this as of yet. Perhaps you guys have some suggestions. Maybe it's just a cool part of his character design. The reason I made this video is not only is Ghost a lot of fun to watch, but it also has surprising depth and great quality. The way the consistent head bobbing ties the characters to the music, the multitude of details scattered throughout the various scenes, the powerful impressions we get of the characters and their relationships. There is so much to enjoy and plenty to notice every time you rewatch it. And that's all for this episode. A big thank you to Daggers and Daffodils, the amazing artist who created this beautiful character for my channel. I had such a great experience working with her, and I highly recommend you guys check out her art. I'll be linking to her Instagram and Twitter in the description. Thank you to Mr. C, Ash, and MacLeod for reading through and helping to edit the script for this video, as well as to Mr. C for helping to edit the video itself. The video was much longer than I originally expected, but there's so much to unpack in these videos. Please let me know if you enjoyed this style of video from me. I'm trying a new style with my scripts, which makes the recording a lot less nerve-wracking. Let me know what else you'd like to see and if there's anything I missed. I'll be linking to a playlist that includes other video essays on the series from other content creators down in the description, so please feel free to check it out. Until next time, take care.